Hi, this is David at Mash OT. Quite excited tonight. We've had a couple of products coming from Dell today. Just going to unbox the first one now, and we'll be unboxing another one later on this evening. This is the Dell XPS 9310. This is the new Tiger Lake i7 model that's just been released. Just turned up this afternoon, so let's unbox it. Right, let's take a look. There we go. So we've got a box inside of a box, very Apple-like. I'm going to pack that in with cards. Keep that safe for later. So here's our Dell XPS box, all wrapped. Let's take a look. Right, get rid of that. Let's have a look at this. That's quite nicely presented. XPS box, lid just lifts up. A nice little pull tab to lift the laptop out. So we're just going to lift that out for a second. See what else we've got in the box. So inside, two little packages. First one, got a nice small 45 watt USB-C charger. That's really quite tiny, that's good. Especially after the Razer Blade Stealth that we got. And in this side, the power lead and a USB-C to USB converter. An XPS 13 pamphlet. Safety information, so really not much else in there. Made out of 100% recycled plastics. Very good. Saving the world. Right, there's a nice magnetic lip on there as well. Spent a lot of time in the packaging. So now let's take a look at the laptop. So just like the 9300, I think pretty much everything has stayed the same apart from the ports. So we have a Thunderbolt 4 port now, finally, and a micro SD card, another Thunderbolt 4 port, and your headset jack, and that's it. So not a lot of ports. I kind of wish there was a standard old-fashioned USB on there, but never mind. Let's open her up. Quite stiff, it's going to struggle with one hand opening, but once you get that lip up, it does actually open okay. You can see you've got the Intel Evo sticker for this new platform with the Tiger Lake. The actual keyboard looks very nice. A nice feel to it. A bit clicky, but it's got nice pressure and nice, about a millimetre of travel, I'd say. And I can see there's a fingerprint sensor in here. Nice size trackpad. The carbon fibre soft touch finish, which is very nice, but it does stain, so you've got to be careful with that. And I can see the microphones in the top, and obviously now since the 9300 we do have the actual webcam up top, which is one of the reasons I wouldn't have bought the XPS before. I could not stand the low webcam, but now we're back to normal position. I'll happily buy these again. I'm going to fire it up and then we're going to come back in a second and take a look at the specs and Windows. Right, we're now into the system. Windows 10 Home Edition with this model. I'm just going to quickly run through the specs that I've chosen with this model here. Now this is the 11th gen i7 1165G7 processor, the new Tiger Lake. Again, I wish they would sort their names up and make them slightly a bit catchier than that mouthful. As I say, Windows 10 Home. It's also got 16 gigabytes of 4267 megahertz LPDDR4X memory, so very high-speed memory. I've chosen the 512 gigabyte M.2 PCIe because if I keep this unit for me, then I'd upgrade it myself anyway, rather than pay Dell for the privilege. It's also got the new Intel Iris Xe graphics with shared graphics memory. This is something I'm quite interested in because apparently it's quite a lot faster than the previous Iris Plus graphics. So obviously subscribe and hit notifications. There will be the review coming up in the next day or so once I've fully tested it, and we're going to be benchmarking that. This model I've chosen the 13.4 inch FHD Plus, and that's the 1200p matte screen. This is the 500 nit matte display. The reason I've chosen that is because I'm not a big fan of glossy screens. I do prefer matte, because if you're working outside it's quite handy. Also, I like the fact that you get better battery life with the 1200p screen. And I find a 1200p on a 13 inch is quite high enough pixel density anyway. You're not really massively noticing the pixels. I'm sure the 4K plus screen is actually a much nicer screen, but for my everyday use I think I'm much happier with the 1200 matte display. And as you can see, we've got this in the black interior model. Considered the white does look very attractive, but I was worried about it discolouring, and also I'm not a big fan of white keys and white backlight, so I've just stayed with the boring old black. So this will set you back about £1,650 in the UK, but as always with Dell, there are sales on, so always keep your eyes out. At the moment, they've got a 14% Flash 14 code, so if you order in the next couple of days, you can get quite a nice chunk off of that price. It's the same, I'm sure, in every other country that Dell sell their products. So we're in Windows 10. What I have noticed so far, just a quick heads up, screen is very nice. It does get nice and bright, this 500 nit display. There was a fair amount of backlight bleed all around the panel, only noticeable when I was sort of booting into Windows with the black screen with the actual logo up, or the images up. I'm not really seeing it, but it is there, so that's something to be aware of if it's something that does bother you. The panel seemed nice and responsive. I haven't noticed any ghosting or anything in my my initial use so far. And the heat and noise. The keyboard is getting warm, installing all the initial Microsoft updates before I've then turned the camera on and carried on shooting. So the keyboard did get warm to the touch, but it's not uncomfortable. If you used a MacBook Pro and you've used it quite heavily, you'll know what scorching keys and scorched fingers feels like. This isn't that bad. You've got some warmth in the middle here. I'm guessing the CPU is pretty much directly under here, or the graphics is under here. The bottom did get very warm though. Had it on my lap for a little while. It's not too hot it's going to burn you, but it's a bit uncomfortable on your legs. The fan noise, the fans did kick up whilst installing all the actual updates. It was actually surprisingly quiet. I was quite impressed. When they first started kicking up, I actually had to put my ear to it and is it spinning? So that was quite nice. It's certainly not a high-pitched whine, it's a nice little air whoosh. And when we were fully processing the updates for a few minutes, it did get a little bit louder, and in the full review we will test the actual decibel meter for that, but it certainly wasn't distracting or annoying, so really pleased so far with that. Touchpad is very nice and responsive. You can click on it, although it is a normal springboard trackpad, it's well designed because I can even click at the top of the trackpad, which is nice. So that's unusual. I mean, obviously a lot of Windows that on the springboard mechanism, if you click near the top, it's really heavy. There's because obviously the hinge is here. This is working nicely up here, so that again is quite impressive. Glides nicely, and the gestures come up nicely. So that's all very good. It's a good all-round package so far. Listen to the speakers quickly. Again, I've been very impressed with this for a 13-inch laptop. I wasn't expecting a lot because I believe they're down firing. Let's see what volume I'm on here. Oops. So if I put this at 30%, I'm just going to play some royalty-free music from YouTube. Not my usual cup of tea, but here we go. So just 30%. Nice full sounds. Again, there's never a great deal of bass on these smaller machines, but the highs are good. It's very crisp. I'm going to increase the actual volume so you can see if there's any distortion. So this is at 60%. I'm actually having to really raise my voice over the top now. So they do get loud, and they're quite clear at that loud. So I'd be more than happy to listen to a little bit of music whilst doing a bit of work on this machine. Obviously, I'd prefer to put in a decent set of headphones or a decent speaker set, but if you're out and about, you're working, away from your normal home environment, you can certainly live with those, I think. They're quite nice. So I think that pretty much sums up this unboxing and first impressions. I think my first impressions overall, I've been really pleased with this machine from Dell. I didn't buy the 9300 model of this XPS 13. I had plenty of other 10th gen 13-inch laptops, so I kind of knew what it was like. I wasn't overly impressed with the 10th gen over the 9th gen, so I just didn't bother getting one in. So I've been waiting for this Tiger Lake to come out, so I've got the refresh. So if you have seen the 9300, the package is almost the same other than the Thunderbolt ports and the new processor and graphics. It's got the Wi-Fi 6 in here, which is the killer Wi-Fi. So overall, I think it's a nice solid package. I'm going to spend the next day or so testing, so please subscribe and hit the notifications if you want to see the full review. We'll be running a full benchmark suite on it and give my much deeper impressions of the laptop. Obviously, it will only be a day's worth of review, so it won't be a long-term review. But come back for that, and again, we'll probably do a longer-term review as well further on down the line once we've been using it for a while. Thank you for watching.